Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for tuning in to Back to the Heart. If you are loving these conversations about healing, mindset, and manifesting transformation, make sure to follow the show right now so you never miss an episode. And while you're here, tap that star or heart and share this episode with someone who's ready to come back to their heart too. And if you want daily inspiration, behind the scenes moments, and a peek into my world, come hang out with me on Instagram at back2, love me. All right, take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's dive in. Here on Back to the Heart, we talk about coming home to yourself. And sometimes that means looking beyond the stories that we've been told and exploring the stories hidden beneath the surface. Today's guest of Back to the Heart is Lynnsey Robinson, a spiritual hypnotherapist who helps people uncover the subconscious blocks, connect with their intuition, and create meaningful shifts in their lives. In this conversation, we'll explore everything from subconscious programming and manifestation to past lives, soul lessons, and trusting the signs that guide us forward. If you're ready to expand your perspective and reconnect with your own inner knowing, this episode is for you. Yeah, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Kind of a gloomy day here, but I kind of like it, you know? Sometimes it's nice to be under a blanket of clouds.
Yeah, I feel like if we just rest into whatever it is, then it
Yes,
always works, right?
it always
The
works.
resistance that's like, oh, I hate this. And then you just get into that energy and it's like, come on.
There is something good about every type of weather. So when it's sunny, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so happy and joyful." And then when it's cloudy, I'm like, "Oh, I get to chill." And when it's
Right?
thunderstorms, it's like exciting kind of. If you
Yeah.
have shelter, obviously. If you don't have shelter, it's really exciting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm really
Well,
happy to be
great.
here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I think I'd gotten a couple of emails from maybe your appointment, your person who books
Yeah,
the episodes and stuff for you.
I have somebody reach out to people that like are feel like the vibe that I want to bring. And so
Yeah.
honestly, she is so good at it because everyone that I've connected with has been so amazing. So it's very cool. I wish I would have hired her sooner, but it took me a really long time to actually hire somebody. Um, and now that she knows the brand, she knows who I am, and she knows kind of what I'm looking for. So I just let her go, and she does really well, apparently.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've surpassed over 5,000 plus downloads of the podcast. So I think once I did that, I started getting a lot of people sending me messages requesting to be on the
Yeah.
show. And a lot of them, that I got, I was like, oh, am I reading through some of these? Like some of them were just ridiculous. They didn't even put their like Instagram or
Oh, I
any
hate
links.
that.
And I'm like, this just feels completely AI driven of not a real person, anything. And,
Yeah.
stuff that just, it was clearly obvious that they were, oh, I saw your last episode and just kind of AI crap.
They like paste the title of your last episode in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
So
get those a lot.
when I found yours, I looked at your page. I was like, okay, now this feels more aligned. This makes more
Oh,
sense to what I'm talking about. So you're like one of the only ones that's reached out to me that I'm like, yeah, because I've connected with so many amazing people throughout this process. And I'm
hmm.
always finding different people and asking them just directly to be a guest. So when somebody reaches out to me, I'm like, okay, is this some bullshit or is this like real?
Yeah, we honestly we get so many guests, and you're right. It happens like when you surpass some milestones, and because I'll even I've told my assistant like, please make sure they have more than like two reviews of the podcast because
Yeah.
I want it to align more with like where I am, and so when we connect on a podcast, she'll send me the link of the podcast, and of course I approve the podcast before anything moves forward. And I think it's the same, but like on our podcast, we get tons of pitches and most are good, right? Most are good. But a lot of times it's like, I know you just mass emailed a bunch of people. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like authentic. I don't know if that's the right word, but I completely understand. I completely
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I like to keep it as casual and flow, not like a specific agenda or anything of like, okay, here's what we have to talk about today. So,
Yeah.
um, if there's something that's been like on your heart or, that's coming up repeatedly for you, that's like a message or something that you want to discuss or share, I'm open for that. Um, and if you want to send like an official bio that you want me to do as an introduction, I can either do it now, or if you send it later, I can just add it, as a clip at the beginning.
What
Or
bio do you have? Is it clinical hypnotherapist or is it spiritual hypnotherapist?
it's
Or you don't
whatever.
have them?
I don't have anything. I mean, I could go back and look at the email that she sent,
Oh.
but I mean, gosh, that was a while ago. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
recall.
let me send you. I got a really short one that
Okay.
that I can give you. Well, I do have a question. I like to,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I just want to double check. Is my work involves a lot of like soul journeys, so that it will entail if you're on board with past lives, reincarnation.
I
I
would
think
love to talk
I'm
about
gonna
that.
say, I was like, I'm pretty sure you do, but I
Yeah.
never want to step on toes and I never want to like put my, ideologies onto people that maybe aren't ready for it. But if you have this community and this audience, and if you're on board with it, chances are everybody that listens to you is. And that's where I really loved play. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had different guests on, talking about mindset, talking about plant medicine. I mean, that's all been a big part of my journey and just spirituality. There's nothing too woo-woo for me. Like, I don't even know what those words mean anymore. So I'm like, how could this be woo-woo? This feels so real. So
yeah.
if this isn't real, maybe you're the one that's confused.
Maybe you're the one that's, and I completely agree. And I
And
think
they'll get there when they get there.
exactly. And the main message that I always want to give people is like, please find what works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you. And what works for someone else isn't going to work for me. So honestly, the goal is always just to like learn how to tune into what is true for you. And we would all be so much happier if we could do that and just let people find that thing that makes them happy.
Yeah,
Anyway.
absolutely. And that's part of why I wanted to start this podcast because in my healing journey there were so many different avenues that took part of it and there's not
Mm-hmm.
just one way that's going to help people move the needle. So it's just
Yes.
exposing people to all of the different things that are out there. So that's what I like to bring on board. So yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
can jump in and start with that specifically. I mean, I don't know if you want to do anything specific with me to demonstrate. I mean, I'm open for whatever you feel good with.
Yeah, I mean, I love usually on when I get invited on podcasts, I like to start with, teaching people how the subconscious works and what is going on. And really make it knowledgeable, make the knowledge accessible for people. And then we can get into, I love teaching like very easy, quick ways to start changing subconscious scripts and really tapping into the life you want to have and watching reality move to fit that new known, that new paradigm. So I yeah, however, I love the conversational approach. I love just letting it flow and seeing where it goes because it's always perfect with what people need. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Well, we will go ahead and just jump right in then. If you're ready.
Alrighty, I'm ready.
All right. Welcome back to the Heart. I am your host, Amanda, and today I have a beautiful guest, Lynnsey Robinson, who is going to give us a whole different perspective about our subconscious and the mindset and the stories that we tell ourselves. I'm always talking about the story that you tell yourself is leading your life. You get to create your reality. So today I want Lynnsey to talk a little bit about what her perspective is, and let's talk about what your back to the heart moment was that got you into this field that you are today. And you can tell us a little bit more about what you do and why you think it is so important.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I always try to keep it concise, but I mean, anybody who's ever heard me speak knows that I will just keep going. So you might want a sign that says stop talking, and then I'll just look at the sign and I'll stop. But starting at the beginning, I guess where I would love to start is how I got into this work. And it was the most romantic path. I think looking back, of course, there were nights where I cried myself to sleep and wondered if this was the right thing to do. But overall, looking back, it couldn't have happened more beautifully. And so I always like to preface it by saying I was a weirdo as a kid. I was just weird. And I think some of the best people I know are weirdos, and I would not change a thing about them. But I was the type of weirdo that would be in the cemetery touching gravestones, trying to figure out how people died.
Oh my God, I do that. I've got one right down the street. I go all the time.
I love the cemetery, but I'm like 10, 11, and I'm just like, let me just figure out how this and I loved Ouija boards. Say what you want about Ouija board. I liked them. I just had a great time tapping into, I guess, the beyond, whatever it is beyond the physical. And I just always have had such a passion to do that. As a kid, I translated that to like, I'm going to be a ghost hunter. I'm going to be a paranormal expert. I'm going to have all the tools. And then as I got older, it morphed more into like, I want to study serial killers' brains. Like I wanted it all. I wanted to do everything. And so I studied criminology. I studied forensic psychology. I studied that in college. Realized very quickly that was not my vibe. I just can't hold that vibe for very long. God bless anyone who can do it. Props, kudos. I can't. I'm more love, light, and fairy vibes. I realized, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that, you know. But this was around. I was I guess 20 years old. I had just dropped criminology. I was like, I know that's not what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? What do I do? Right. And I am somebody, maybe people listening can relate. I am somebody that always has to be doing something. I have to know I'm moving in some direction. If I'm not moving, I drive myself nuts. And so a lot of questions. I had my mom's background of being very religious and banishing demons from our house with her Bible. I have my dad's perspective, which is him walking through the house with his long hair, complaining about how he cannot come back. This is his last life. He is over it. No more reincarnating. And so I had these two very stark, different realities. And of course, my parents aren't together. It was very best for everybody. But I'm just so confused, right? You're 20 years old. You don't know which way is up. At this point, my sister gives me a book called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And if anybody has not read this book or knows about this book, do yourself a favor and at least look into it. This guy, Journey of Souls. This guy's a hypnotherapist, and I'm 20 years old. I'm like, what the heck is a hypnotherapist? What is going on? And he essentially, spontaneously on accident, had these clients spontaneously regress back to their life between life state. So right at the end of the last life, before the beginning of the next one, and trying to like choose who's coming with them, choose the lessons, the themes, the body that they're going to be in, the geographic location. And I understand for some people that aren't familiar with this idea, how it sounds. I completely understand. But for me, reading this, it checked every box I didn't even know I had. It lit me up in a way I've never felt before. Granted, I was 20, so like what experience does a 20-year-old have? But it really did. It was a pivot point in my life looking back. That was a sign. That was a big red roadmap sign, like stop here, pay attention here. And I did. And I read everything that he wrote and found more material that I could read. And it was insatiable, my need to know everything that I was learning and everything that he knew. I wanted to know everything. And so I decided right then at 20 years old, I'm going to be a hypnotherapist. I'm going to go to California, from Michigan, which is where I grew up. I'm going to study hypnotherapy. I'm going to do these past life regressions, life between life. I'm going to help people understand their soul. And I want everybody to know how magnificent they are. It was just so exciting. And then, so I made the decision to move to California. Everybody thought I was crazy. I grew up in a small town in Michigan. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm moving. My boyfriend, high school boyfriend at the time when we were still together, was like, oh, well, come with you. I'm like, no, babe, you're staying here. I got to go by myself. It was just everything that I had a root or a tie or a cord attaching me to. I just severed everything and I left to find whatever was leading me there. And now I know that was my higher wisdom. My soul was like, you need to be in California. That's your next chapter. And so I moved thinking I was going to go to the Institute. And what really happened is I met my husband. My family was waiting for me here. I had a baby. And when I had my first son in California, this was six years, that's 7 years after my first light bulb of hypnotherapy went off. Got a job immediately when I moved to LA. So I had to put any dream I had to go on the back burner because LA is not a cheap place. It's very expensive. And so I just started doing life. And once I had my first son in 2012, I really had to be like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? Now you're back in the same position you were when you were 20. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up? 27 years old. And hypnotherapy came zooming back into my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, remember that? Remember how excited you got? Remember how good that felt to be able to think about doing that for your life? And I got excited. And then all of a sudden I got the other voice, the voice that we all know is very familiar to us probably, which is like, girl, you're a mom now. You got to be responsible. Go get a job. What are you talking about? That's for other people to do. Anything you can imagine, I heard it in my brain. Every reason it was a bad idea. Because it wasn't safe, because it was unknown. But then I heard another whisper voice, and it was actually very quiet. And it was just, why can't you? But hang on, wait a second. Why can't you? And then I stopped and I thought, wait a minute, why can't I? You're right. Because anyone who's ever done anything awesome with their life or anybody who's had to make a big decision had to start right here at this fork in the road, which decides, do I do the safe thing, the responsible thing, the realistic thing, and stay in my lane and stay in my zone of comfort, even if it's uncomfortable and boring? Or do I leap and hope the net appears? Scary as heck. And so I decided to just make a phone call. What if I just did a little research and to see what's around me? Maybe there's a school close by that I could do. Maybe it's possible. And I encourage everybody to crack the door of possibility as often as they can, because it may lead you to your next amazing chapter. But I made a call, went on a tour, long story short, ended up doing the course. And I have never regretted a moment. I just think that the signs are there if you want to see them. And even if you don't want to see them, you will see them after you're where you're supposed to be. You'll look back and be like, oh yeah, that was a sign. The biggest one for me was after I graduated the institute that I studied, I ended up working there in the distance department to help students wanting to go through the distance program of hypnotherapy. And I looked my name up in the database of the institute that I attended because I had access. I was an employee now, so I could see what my file said. It was very sneaky, but I looked up my name and I had two profiles. One for my student account, Lynnsey Gutierrez, my married name, with my current address, my current phone number at the time. And I had another one from 2005 from Michigan, my Michigan number, my Michigan address, my maiden name, Lynnsey Robinson. And I was like, wait a minute. What is this? The notes under that account said, filled out an application. We followed up 3 times, no answer. So in 2005, when I had just read this book, Journey of Souls, I was a little baby 20-year-old trying to figure out life. I filled out a distance application for the institute that I ended up going in 7-8 years later and forgot. So that when I was sitting in the same office that I filled the application out for 8 years prior, I would know that I was in the right place at the right time. And I don't know about you, but I need signs to slap me in the face. Okay. I need them to be very loud. And that is the loudest sign telling me I know that my soul needed to leave that breadcrumb. The universe needed to leave that breadcrumb so that I could tie a direct line from where I was to where I am now. And maybe I took the long way. It took me 8 years to get there. But the fact that I was in the same spot, it's just mind blowing. And I would not be sitting here if I hadn't made a lot of big and small decisions, hard ones. Like I said, some nights I cried myself to sleep thinking what am I doing? This is absolute insanity. I'm picking up my whole life. I'm starting over without any guarantee that it's going to work out. And then I started over again when I started learning hypnotherapy. If you look back at all the decisions needed, all of the choice points needed to be where you are at this very moment while you're listening to this, it is my opinion that you can't not see the divinity in that. You can't not see how you are always in the right place at the right time. And the signs may be big or they may be small, but it's just true, I think.
Yeah, I think the signs are part of that story that we tell ourselves, and you can receive them and believe them in that moment, or you can push them away and, oh, that's just coincidence, that's just random or whatever. But it means whatever it means to you whenever you allow yourself to do it. And I think that's incredibly courageous to pick up and make that change. And I have a note on my wall in my office: feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yep.
And in this process, it sounds like there were many times, whether it was big or small, for you just to take that step. And even, after you moved and, many years later, you had the job and you had the baby. And then I think so many people get to a point, and maybe especially women, whenever you're in that space of your sacral chakra is pretty activated whenever you've just had a baby, right? So it allows this whole creativity of the mind to start flowing in a completely different way, for you to start asking questions and to start getting curious of like, okay, things feel pretty good, maybe, I'm just assuming, with life as it is, but what else could there be? What else is this possibility? Where is it really that I feel like my heart's desire is taking me? And for you to listen to that and tap back into that frequency is so amazing. And I just actually just saw something online this morning, and it was like, are you delusional? Or maybe I just believe in myself,
Yeah.
Are you being unrealistic? Or maybe I just don't share the limiting beliefs that others project onto me. Am I being delusional? Or maybe I know what I'm capable of anything, and I trust the power of God, universe, source, whatever, that it's going to happen. And I think so many times we get into that space, like you said, you're leaving from Michigan and making this choice, and people are like, are you crazy? And like, just trusting in this process and listening and tapping back into our inner knowing of there's something there, and it may not make sense on paper today, but just trusting in that process is so incredibly powerful. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And, let's pivot a little bit then and go into what is it about the hypnotherapy that was like, okay, a lot of people may hear hypnotherapy and their first thought is, I don't know if that's real. Like,
Yeah.
how can I be sure that, if you're going under hypnotherapy, that the person isn't just acting and making things up and saying what they think they're supposed to say or what they're supposed to feel, versus it being like, no, this is like eerily obvious that there's so much truth in this, but somebody's like, yeah, this helped me so much, and here's why, and how it works, or why you believe that it works.
Whoa. Okay. Let me try. Let me start by saying, well, the first point you brought up is like how some people don't believe that it's real, or they're, what if it isn't real? So first thing I want to say is the state of hypnosis, the state of trance, this altered state is something that humans enter multiple times a day. You do it when you fall asleep. You do it in the process of waking up. You're passing through the unconscious to the subconscious to the conscious. Like that's just the process that you go. When you read a book and everything falls away and you're in the book, you're in an altered state. When you're watching a movie and you cry, when you drive home and you forget how you did that. Like, wait, I'm home? How did this happen? We've all had these moments. And it's because if you're a biological human, you have to, you have to enter these altered states. So you already know how to do it. A hypnotherapist, someone like me, is just here to help you do it on purpose, to teach your subconscious what is safe for you. Because right now, you are exclusively and perfectly living the life that your subconscious believes is safe for you. Perfectly. You couldn't be doing it better. If it feels uncomfortable, if you are unfulfilled, if you feel like there's something more, it is always because your subconscious has an outdated version of what is safe for you. But because it worked once, it must work always. It doesn't know expiration dates. It just doesn't. It doesn't know that what worked once doesn't work anymore because you've grown out of it consciously. Subconsciously, you're still running the same program because it worked. And why wouldn't we? My job is to keep you alive, keep you breathing. So that's what we're doing. Very simply, you do have the power through hypnotherapy, through any kind of trance work, subconscious work, to access the subconscious. I'm speaking slow because when I speak fast, it comes out all jumbled and I get excited. And so I'm trying to slow myself down. Access your subconscious to figure out what's in there that may be outdated, that feels a little stale or old. And we release it with love, and we replace it with something that actually fits where you're going, who you're becoming, who you are authentically, and who you came here to be. And then we watch reality bend around you to create that new reality. And it happens all the time. It happens every day. With you, listener, right now, it's happening. You just don't really notice it because what's subconscious is automatic. And what's automatic, you don't pay attention to because it's automatic. You don't have to think about it. Doing hypnotherapy or doing some kind of mindset work, deep subconscious work with a facilitator, or you could do a self-hypnosis, you could do a meditation, but any sort of subconscious work is designed to allow you access to that part of you that is automatic to teach it new stuff. We're updating your software. Okay. If you have a cell phone, if you have a smartphone, it's very similar, except we're the best computer on the planet. And we're just updating what no longer works to something that does work.
Yeah.
And I forget what the rest of the question was, but that's a good start.
Great. Let's dig into that. So yeah, I love that because so many times I think people are so disconnected from themselves and disconnected from, maybe what they even truly desire and want in their lives, but they feel like, okay, I know this isn't it, or this thought that this was what I wanted, but maybe it's not. And we're so bombarded with all of the busyness of life and all the distortions that are out there, be it environmental, food, media, old stories, parents, religion, any of the things that can cause those types of distortions that people need assistance to get to that space to understand it. And a lot of my journey has included plant medicines to get myself to that space, or breath work to get myself to that space. I have not personally engaged with hypnotherapy, but from what you're saying, it is very much like that. And it's that help to get it to that space where somebody that plant medicine still feels a little scary, or not available for them because of, their job or whatever it may be, that this is a whole nother level of opportunity for people to get down to like what that real story is and understand, okay, that's not mine. I'm ready to let it go. And let's create the new reality of what I want it to be. So what are some of the things that, like you mentioned before about that space in between? That sounds so interesting to me. Like, tell me some fun story that has come up that just stands off. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened.
Do you mean like with clients?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you mean the in-between space, like a life between life space, or do you mean like the in-between, one foot in, one foot out of reality that you enter when you go into hypnosis? There's a
Ooh.
lot of in-between spaces I'm noticing.
Yes. My original question was the space in between of not of going into the hypnosis, but the part that you mentioned first about in between like lifetimes. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay. Yes. So
Okay.
again, the premise of the book Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls is this concept of taking the client, because we all know what a past life regression is. It's getting into a hypnosis state, getting into a trance state, and returning to a life you may have lived in the past to extrapolate, I guess is the word that's coming to mind, to extrapolate the lessons, the themes, anybody that traveled with you in that life, maybe they're with you now, and getting those soul connections, the soul group connections. I'm so sorry. My chicken is being so obnoxious on my deck right now. I'm trying to like pay attention, but I don't want him to
No,
eat my
if you need to
strawberries.
pause and
No, no,
take
it's
a
okay. It's okay. I'm like a shiny object syndrome, except it's annoying chicken syndrome. Okay. So so the life between life state is that space after the past life, going back into spirit, connecting with your soul group, the ones that maybe you've traveled with in other lives, but maybe didn't see in that last life. So you're reuniting with your soul clan. And I'm getting goosebumps every time I talk about it. It's just so beautiful.
yeah.
And you go through your life review. That's where the life review happens, where you relive every moment of that life, and judge whether you could have done better things, or you did great on these things. And it's important to note here that nobody's judging you except you. Nobody's judging that life except you. You are only accountable to your own soul's expectations. And it's never like, well, I did bad, so let me beat myself up. Although some souls, I guess, do that. But if there is some healing or some recalibration that needs to happen after that life, then you will go to like a healing chamber or something like that. And this is all just based on like my research, my books I've read and things. Did you hear that?
I did.
I'm going to close my window. These chickens.
Okay.
What are you excited about? Hey, get down. Get down. You're not supposed to be here. Get down. Get down. My thing. Gosh. See, the temperature is great. It's really great to have a window open, except when you have chickens, because then they cluck. Anyway.
Maybe they were trying to share a message that we need to know today.
Don't forget to tell them this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cute. I'm going to say that's exactly what that was. No, they were really just playing in my dirt. I'm trying to grow potatoes. And so it's just a big mound of dirt with some leaves poking up, right? And they love digging in there and messing up what I got going on. Okay, I don't remember where I was. Life between lives.
You were talking about
Healing
like the only
chambers.
person judging is you're
Yes.
judging yourself.
Yes. So if there's any healing that needs to happen, or I guess recalibration would be a good word for that, then you would do all that. And then you, the soul, the beautiful, wise, and loving soul, will decide how and when and if you will reincarnate. Now, we don't have to. This is not compulsory. This is not something that we're mandated to. It's just, we know in soul form as a soul that it is the best thing for us. When you're a kid, you do not want to brush your teeth. I don't know one kid that likes it, but when you're a parent, you understand how important it is, and you try to encourage your kids to brush their teeth. It's kind of like that, except you are both the parent and the child. In human form, I guess you would be the child, where you're just like, why did I do this? What? I would never choose this. Why would I choose this? But the soul is like, well, if you had the perspective that you have in soul form, then you would understand why some of these lessons are relevant to you, and why these things are coming into your awareness, so that you can heal them, mend them, fix them, shift them, transform them, however you want to say that. But in the process of choosing the lessons and the themes of that life, you also get to decide who's coming with you, who's going to be the best person to help me learn this lesson, who am I going to help learn lessons, And it's all done with love. It's all done with compassion and with a deep reverence for each and every soul. Where are we going to live? What is that life going to look like? What are the signposts along the way that are going to tell me I'm on the right path? It's everything. And it's so hard for even for my human brain to comprehend like how much goes into all the tiny threads that are woven into the tapestry of one life, let alone universal consciousness in everybody's lives. That, I mean, I could just go on and on, but back to the actual question. So you decide where, you decide when, you decide how, you decide the family dynamic that's going to be best for this lesson, this theme that you're going to experience. And then we could even get into the possibility, which I believe is more of a inevitability, of choosing other planets, other life forms. But that's might be getting a little too intense. So we could keep it to human if you want.
No, that's great. It's interesting because I've just recently been listening to, and it's an older book.
I am not surprised because I usually don't say something. I promise you, every time I do this, I will say something and the host will go, "That is really weird that you say that." I'm like, yeah, is it? It's such perfect timing every time. I love it.
Yeah, it's I had to look it up. I was like, what was the name? What is the name of the book? It's Dolores Cannon, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth.
Love Dolores Cannon.
Yeah, and I've just finished like the chapter 4, and I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. And then we have this call set up that I've been listening to that book recently. I'm like, oh my gosh,
my goodness.
Past life regression. And I think there's so many people out there that are repeating cycles, and that's a lot of what I help coach people on, is they're repeating the patterns, and they've come to a point where they're aware of, okay, I'm in this relationship again, repeating the same crap that I went through with my ex and with my ex before that. And why am I attracting this type of relationship or this type of interaction with, a boss, a coworker, or just any kind of relationships? And I think there's so many times that it goes back into those past lives, and it's not ours to carry today in this lifetime, but we're still in that repetitive cycle because we don't know how to identify where that came from and be able to let it go and move forward in the path that we want. Is that something that sounds familiar?
Yeah. And the more, okay, so I am somebody who can't hold still. I need to be doing, as I mentioned, I need to be doing something. So I'm a spiritual hypnotherapist, which really just means I help you understand your soul. I help you with your soul's journey, whether that means meeting your spirit team or your own higher wisdom or all everything, going on a past life, going on a life between life journey, everything that helps you really connect to that essence of you, and really helps you be the most full, empowered version of you. So I do that. I also am the family genealogist, and I actually studied a course at Boston University for genealogy. So I am actually a genealogist. So I love dealing with family trees and genealogy, which bleeds into ancestral healing, obviously, because I don't do anything without spirit. Spirit has to be involved at all costs. So there's ancestral healing. And, when you think about just in this life, if you're having something come up, chances are you kind of have an idea of the pattern that just from this life. And then we talk about past lives, you likely have something going on there too. And then we talk about what you might have inherited from your ancestors, which is a real thing. The DNA travels. You can trace DNA on, scientifically, you can trace DNA up to about 8 generations back. That's just what we can measure. We're not even talking about energetics, but physical DNA can be passed up to 8 generations. And then it kind of loses its flavor, and you can't really detect it anymore. But if that is true, then I absolutely believe that certain traumas, experiences, beliefs, emotions can travel through the DNA as well. So if it's coming up in your life, I'm just going to say that there's a good chance it's coming from all places, if not quite a few places, because otherwise you wouldn't be noticing it quite as much. And I don't know that to be true. That's just how it feels. And everybody that I've kind of worked with these repeating patterns has had some combination, I guess, of these different places. But yes, I think that past lives have a huge impact on the life we chose now, in good ways and bad ways, right? Like you could have brought a strength from that previous life of something that you value, an attribute that really kind of helps empower you can be taken from past lives, but also the things that maybe we didn't mean to take or did mean to take as a soul so that we could resolve it in this life. So it's just like, it's just most of it, I think, if not all, is done so intentionally. And it's such a gift, I think, to live in a time as human beings where we have all of these tools at our disposal. And as somebody who's very into ancestral work, I can't not think about my old ancestors who got this, who understood the connection that they have to everything. And then as we keep going toward modern times, the ancestors kind of forgot, we aren't connected to nature anymore. Nowhere near where we were or where we should be. We're not connected to each other anymore. In ways we are. There's no way I could talk to you across the world or across the country if not for the internet. So in that way, it does connect us. But the internet also isolates us. People are saying things to people they'd never say in person because they feel like they have this barrier up, right? So it separated us, made us not see each other as brothers and sisters anymore, and also connected us in a weird way. So it's a little bit of is dichotomy the right word? That's the word that's coming to mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I think about our ancestors, my grandparents, their parents didn't have these tools. What do you mean? We've been in survival mode for generations. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. We have been in survival mode. And a lot of us still are. And I think, of course, you're going to feel like your dreams, you don't have time to chase your dreams. What do you mean? I have to put food on the table. Of course you do. So I want to hold space for that too. Like there's no wrong way to be feeling, especially in a world where we are kind of trained to live off of fear and scarcity and work hard for scraps. And, what did my dad always say? You pay taxes and then you die, something like that. It's just very futile, very futile. But
the only thing that's real is that you pay taxes and you die. Or
exactly. Something, you know what I'm talking about.
Something. Yeah.
I can't think of the exact words, but yes, it's that effect where it's like you just get through it. And I'm so excited because I feel like as a collective, as a society, I know, Amanda, I don't know you at all, but I know you have been feeling a shift happening. Like I know a lot of the people that I come into contact with are telling me the same thing. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like there's something collectively is happening. And I believe it's a beautiful thing. I believe that we are finally waking up to stop believing what they're telling us. Because they lied. They taught us how to live. They said we would be rewarded with a house and with all these things. And the dream is to get married and have kids and have a house and go to college. And that's the dream you should have. And we're all kind of being like, wait a second. I don't have any of those things that you told me I was going to have. And I'm not happy. And even if I do have those things, I feel like a shell of a person. Do you know how many people I've talked to that have climbed to the top of their ladder, whatever ladder they're on, and felt completely unsatisfied with all the quote success that they had that looked beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, they weren't living their truth. And I just think that it's a great thing. Not everybody is going to vibe with this, but I truly do believe, and everybody I've come into contact with in my experience is feeling some level of this, where it's like, I'm going to throw out your rule book and I'm going to decide what's right for me. And you're doing it in a time where you have the whole of the universe knowledge at your fingertips. You could learn anything you want for almost free if you have YouTube. You know what I mean? Like you can, if you want to learn it, there's a way to learn it on the internet. And I just think like what perfect timing for us as a collective to be waking up to new rules, to creating our own reality, to finally accepting that if we play by the rules, it may not work out because they lied. And I get to decide what that means for me. And I get to learn anything I want. And I get to do what I want. And I get to use my free will to talk to amazing people on the internet, do past life regressions, and eat ice cream for dinner if I want.
Right?
like, it's just, I don't know. I get really passionate about it because, again, not everybody's going to vibe with this, but I hope if you're listening to this, you can crack the door to possibility because now's the time to do it, babe. And what's the saying? No one's coming to save you. So no one's coming to stop you either. Like, I love
Yes.
that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that when you realize that you're no longer the victim, and if you want to live
Yes.
in a victim mentality of, this happened to me, and this is, I'm stuck in this box because I grew up in a small town. I'm stuck in this box because I grew up super religious, or I grew up in I'm stuck in this
Yeah.
box because I was never exposed to, the teachings of Jesus or God or whatever your box story is.
Yes.
Everybody has one. But if you allow yourself to stay in that box, then you're giving your power over to everything and everybody outside of you. It's whenever
Yeah.
you can take ownership and like, hey, look at all these tools and resources I have that are available for me to explore and figure out what it is that I truly do want. I
Yeah.
mean, back, our parents and our parents' parents, they didn't have these resources. They were relying upon the stories that they heard from their grandparents and their grandparents'
Yep.
grandparents. And, whether it was, how do you cook a strawberry cake? I mean, it was, you always
Yum.
had to call your mom, your grandmother, and they made it the way that they did it. And what if there's another way? Wow, there's a way to make it without refined processed sugar and it still tastes delicious and I can use healthy natural dates. Absolutely, I want to do that. Something that simple of
Yep.
anything is out there. And that was really the driving force behind me wanting to create this podcast was I had gone through my own healing journey and there were so many different tools and resources and dipping into this and dipping into that. And I've met so many amazing people that I love and believe and have learned things from, learning about my human design, learning about my gene
Yeah.
keys, connected different pieces, but that's not necessarily something that's going to light me up like it lights up
Right.
my friend Cherry to talk about human design. It was completely pivotal for her. Or, my friend Rachel was an astrology. It's different things that are out there to ignite that fire that's within us. And we're so fortunate to have this opportunity to
Yeah.
listen to this free conversation
Yeah.
all over the world. I think I've got like 40 or 50 something countries where I have different listeners. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, there's people listening from, I don't even know where that country is. So the resources are out there. So if anybody's listening to this that is just uncertain about what the next steps are, there are so many different modalities to help you get to
Yeah.
that place. And if you're like, oh, well, I've tried to meditate and I just can't meditate. Okay. You don't have to meditate. you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to do breath work. You don't have to care about what your human design is, whatever it is, like go to something else, try something different. And what would you recommend to somebody who maybe feels like they're in that place, they're stuck? What what does the process look like if they work with you? Like, is it one session, multiple sessions? What does this modality offer to someone who feels stuck? And I've tried everything, but they haven't tried hypnotherapy. Oh no, you're frozen. Oh,
Hi.
you're back.
My internet went out.
That's okay. We'll just conclude this. My last question is for anybody out there who feels stuck and they feel like, well, I've tried everything, but they haven't tried hypnotherapy before. Where would you suggest them a place to start? What is something that people come to you and they're telling you?
Well, the first thing is you don't have to know what's holding you back. And I think a lot of people get stunted because they're like, well, I don't even know what I would say. You don't have to. It's unconscious. That's why we do this. Like we can figure anything out that we need to along the way. All you have to know is that you're uncomfortable. You know you're meant for more and you can't seem to do it on your own. And then you let me help you take it from there. And it's a fun, I like to say it's a fun process because it really is. It's a very relaxed state of being. It's a very easeful, I don't even use that word, but I want to. It's a very easeful experience. And if you are maybe not ready to see a hypnotherapist just yet, that's fine too. I would say you can, I made an app that's accessible for everybody. So if it's called Align Your Mind. And if you want to just dip your toes in hypnotherapy, there's hypnotherapy for every topic you can think of. EFT sessions is another thing I do. um, I pull cards. We do tarot and oracle readings. I do them for every personal client, and I'll drop some in the membership every once in a while. There's a lot of free resources in there. So you can just, like I said, dip your toes and see how it works for you. But a way to start is really just, I would say, getting quiet and asking more questions to yourself, especially around your inner dialogue. When you have a goal or a dream, what is the language around it? Is it defeated? Is it excited? Is it anticipatory? Is it mad? Feudal? You know what I mean? And getting to know the energy of the language around it, and then resetting that language. That would be the first place to start, because there is no greater power on this planet than your own voice. Your voice back at you is the most powerful thing on the planet when you want to create change. Second best is a trained hypnotherapist. That's a joke. But honestly, your voice is the absolute most important thing. So if you can start to change the language, the inner dialogue that you have, game changer. And the best way I like to do that, I give this to every client after the first session, is this. It's a PDF that I have, but you can do this on a notepad. Write down the old belief. So like for me, in the beginning of my story, I had the belief that I had to do the responsible thing and get a job. So you have to be responsible and get a job is what I would write down. Yuck, right? Ugh. In the next column over, you would write, what is a better feeling thought, or what would I like to believe instead? And then just, you are inviting your mind to think of better possibilities, which is already starting to rewire it. So instead of saying you have to be responsible and get a job, I could say following my joy is the most responsible thing I could do.
Oh,
And
I
that
love
just feels better. Yeah, I just made that up. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do this. Anyone can do this. This is what I'm saying. What is a better feeling thought? What would feel better to me? What would I like to believe? If I could believe anything, what would I like to believe? Write that down. And then after you write down the better feeling thought, make sure you physically cross out that old stale belief, because you are sending a very clear message to your subconscious that that is old, outdated, and this is the new one. I mean, try it. And the more, now that I've said, pay attention to your inner dialogue, everybody's going to have more consciousness on their inner dialogue. That's the goal. You want to be conscious of it so that you can change it. You can't change what's subconscious, unless you have a hypnotherapist. but that would be the first way. And then, I mean, it's very easy to do. The other thing I like to tell people to do, if I may offer one more tip, the first 30 minutes of waking up and the final 30 minutes before you go to sleep are the most powerful subconscious windows, because your subconscious is naturally already receptive and listening to what you're trying to say to it. So that's why there's a reason people say, don't be on your phone before bed, or, make sure you calm your nervous system and wake up in a nice, peaceful way, and don't just go right to ingesting every bit of information you possibly can in the very early morning hours, because your subconscious is taking that in very directly. So if you're going to do any kind of mindset work or rewiring work, then you could use those powerful 30-minute windows and make it even more potent. Oh gosh, we could talk about so many things. If we had time, you can learn all of this inside of my app, but I also teach why your handwriting is so powerful. I'm a handwriting analyst. I could teach you about your handwriting. There's so much more, but I could just go on for days. But the most important things are, you are so much more powerful than you've been led to believe, and you have every opportunity to create the life that you want. And the last thing I will say is, please don't judge yourself, and you can't really be accountable for what you didn't know an hour ago. But now that you have this information, I always like to say, now that you know, now that you at least have this openness to receive this information, what are you going to do about it? Now you have a responsibility to yourself. And here's the thing, you don't have to do anything. You can stay inside that safety box that we talked about for as long as you want. There's no time limit to that. But at some point, don't be surprised if the discomfort of staying where you are, having this knowledge, becomes so powerful that you have to move. And it'll always work out, because it always has worked out. And your soul is leading you in the right place. I think that's it. There's always more, but I'm going to stop.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, we'll definitely put all the links in the show notes, but so you have an app and you have a community where you're talking about the handwriting and different exercises and practices, like what all is included?
Yeah, it's all in the app. So if you have an iPhone, you can just download it from the App Store. It's called Align Your Mind. And it's free to download. There's a ton of free content in there. And then if you'd like to work one-on-one, you can find me anywhere, honestly. If you type in my name, I'm all over the place. You can just find me on Instagram or get on my email list. You can email me and start the ball rolling to working together. I love one-on-one clients because it is that much more personal, and I can tailor the hypnosis to how you take in information, because not everybody takes in information the same way. And so I have to change the language depending on who I'm speaking to, which is why group hypnosis or audios do some good work, but it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. It's just like a one size is pretty okay for most people.
Yeah.
You know, it's doable, but one-on-one work is just so much more potent and powerful. So if you want to work together, get a hold of me. I'm happy to connect with you. And I think that's it.
So they can do a one-on-one hypnotherapy session with you virtually or only in person?
Oh yeah, no. I see clients all over the world. So I have programs for 6, 9, and 12 weeks, depending on how much you want to accomplish. We can tailor it to your needs. But yeah, anywhere across the world, because I don't need to be physically with you. As long as you are comfortable in your space and you can hear my voice and you know you won't be disturbed, absolute success.
I love that. So this again is an opportunity. If anybody's listening to this and you felt the nudge of, hey, I wonder what this is about, then this is your sign. This is
Yeah,
it. So
this is it.
just so check out Lynnsey and all of her links below, and she will get you set up and get you moving on and release these pressures that have been weighing you down and get you back onto the path of what your true heart desires. So thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you so much, Lynnsey, for joining us today, and come back again for Back to the Heart.
I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Okay, that was awesome.
I'm so sorry about the audio's probably all weird now.
It's okay. Your
We were too
audio.
powerful, the spirit.
If this conversation is lighting something up in you, if you are feeling that pull to go deeper, I want to invite you into my coaching space. Whether you are just starting to untangle old stories or you are ready to fully embody your next level, your quantum leap, I offer one-on-one sessions or a transformational 4-pack designed to help you shift fast and with real support. My coaching blends nervous system work, breath work, and story alchemy. So you're not just learning, you are living your breakthroughs. You can book a free 30-minute intro call to see if it's the right fit for you. Email me at back2, to love me@gmail.com. That's back2the heart to love me@gmail.com, or find the link in the show notes below. Let's get you back to the heart, because that is where your power lives.